Chapter 46. The car slowed to a stop in front of the little house on the corner. Morning had broken pale and gold, softening the edges of the world. The sky was streaked with lavender, and dew clung to the rooftops like a final breath held in the hush of dawn. It should have felt like any other morning, but everything had changed. The windows of the house glowed with warm light, a gentle beacon in the cool blue of early day. They were waiting for him to come home. The ride had been silent. Not the silence of awkwardness or distance, but the kind that follows too much. Too much loss. Too much truth. Too much change. Words had felt unnecessary, too fragile to hold the weight of what they had just endured. Andrew sat slouched in the passenger seat, every muscle aching with exhaustion. Not the kind that sleep could cure, but the kind that lived in the bones, deep, heavy, permanent. His mind still hummed with the echo of everything. He glanced sideways. Shera sat behind the wheel, her hands resting motionless, her eyes fixed on the road ahead. The engine had gone quiet, but she hadn't moved. Her expression was unreadable, carved from something older than pain, older than peace, a mask, or maybe a shield. "So, this is where it ends?" he asked finally, his voice barely more than a whisper. She turned toward him, and for the span of a single breath, the light caught in her eyes, blue as ice, as sky just before the storm. They startled him still. There was something ancient in them, something too vast to be touched. And yet, something familiar too, something human. She didn't answer. Not right away. The slam of a door shattered the quiet. His mother had stepped out onto the porch, drawn by the headlights. She stood frozen for a moment in her robe and slippers, a hand raised to shield her eyes from the rising sun. Then she saw him, and she ran. Barefoot, robe fluttering, her cry catching in her throat. Andrew opened the door slowly, careful not to wake the girl cradled in his arms. And that's when Shera spoke. "It's just the beginning, Andrew." He froze at her voice. Something in it, low, calm, inevitable, cut through the morning haze like a blade of glass. "When you have an eternity ahead of you," she said, "every day can be a start. And eternity, it holds more than you can imagine." Her fingers brushed the gear shift. "Don't forget, we are immortal." He turned to look at her, but she was already moving, already shifting into drive. "Shera," he started. She didn't look back, and then she was gone. The car glided down the street, swallowed by the morning light, the red of her taillights vanishing around the curve like the last trace of a dream. "Andrew!" his mother cried, reaching him at last. She threw her arms around them both, him and the sleeping child in his arms, and held on like she might never let go. Oh, thank God! He hugged her back, tightening his grip on Carmen just enough to hold her secure. The little girl stirred faintly, but didn't wake. Her tiny fingers were still curled into the folds of his coat, trusting him in her sleep. He didn't speak right away. He just stood there in the soft gold of morning, surrounded by breath and warmth and the strange, quiet certainty that something old had ended, and something even older had just begun. "Let's go inside," he said gently. "It's cold." They turned toward the door, but his mother paused. "Oh, your colleague, Matthew, he's been calling like crazy. Said he has something urgent to tell you. Something about Shera? I told him—" "I'll talk to him tomorrow," Andrew said, cutting her off with a small, tired smile. He glanced once more down the road, where nothing remained but empty light and the soundless hush of a new day. Or the day after. Then he smiled again, faintly, more to himself than to her. "I've got time." And he did, because it was true. He had all the time in the world and he was immortal. The end.